and leadership on this issue. India has been a leader in climate action. We are not talking of distant time frames of 2050 or 60. We are talking of tangible actions here and now. We are also at the cusp of change, and we have many success stories unfolding around us. The stories of energy transition, urban transition, agricultural transformation, and transport revolution. We have the fastest growing energy sector in the world. Our Prime Minister and the Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change have led from the front since the negotiations of the Paris Agreement and have provided a vision of harmonious coexistence with nature. The CO Forum has been designed as a platform to bring together industry and government and share the roadmap, challenges, and synergy for combating climate change. The first CO Forum was held in 2019, which provided an opportunity to share views and also prepare for the United Nations Secretary General Summit on Climate Action in 2019. This year, we wanted to take a step further to bring together the various initiatives of the private sector on climate change and make it a more structured process. We have requested the industry to provide their own internal roadmaps, goals, targets, achievements on climate change on a yearly basis to the ministry. This is pertinent as we step in to a new era of Paris Agreement in 2021. Under the new regime, the actions of the government, the private sector, as well as civil society will form part of the nationally determined contributions. We have submitted our first NDC for 2021 to 2030. Another important element of interface would be the new market mechanism, which is still being negotiated. It is an area of interest for both the government as well as the private sector, and we would like to take the maximum advantage of such carbon trading mechanisms, just as we had done under the Kyoto Protocol with the Clean Development Mechanism. The government is also contemplating domestic emission trading schemes for both particulate pollutants and GHG emissions, and we hope that the private sector will participate enthusiastically in them too. The ministry is also in the process of creating a new coordinating structure for implementation of the Paris Agreement. It will incorporate most of the above areas that we have talked about, and also some emerging issues like internal carbon pricing, sustainable lifestyles, cross-border carbon leakage, etc. I'm sure today's discussion will bring out significant contributions that private sector is making on this front, and also mark the beginning of a meaningful relationship between the government and private sector on this issue. Thank you and welcome once again. Now I would request our Honorable Minister to deliver his keynote address and set the theme for the meeting. Minister, sir.
All the officers present and all the CEOs of leading companies, I welcome you all for this second CEO forum. This is very important, particularly in the pandemic period. The good news is that economic activities are returning to normalcy. Manufacturing is coming to normalcy, and within 1 month time it will make a lot of difference and will be in full swing. That's what we expect. God forbid that there should not be a second wave or the third wave of pandemic all over the country, and I hope it will not be. People will restrain and people will take precautions. But good news is that power consumption our power demand has increased by 12% in October. October GST collection is more than the October GST collection of last year. The railway freight has increased by 15%. All these are indicators, and the auto sales and everything has picked up in demand. The demand is picking up in right earnest. The money is in the hands of the people, and they are coming, in rural and urban both. We are seeing a vibrancy returning. And therefore, this is a background on which we are all working. I am very sure that India will show the way to how to deal with the pandemic, because what we are seeing and observing in Europe and America is worrisome, and I hope that India will show the way to the world. एक है कि आप सब लोग बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हो, और इसलिए मेरी इच्छा होगी कि आप सबको सुनूं. See, climate change is very important issue to be discussed world over, and world action is needed on this. It is not one country can make a difference. All countries will have to work in that direction. So in Paris, we decided that we will restrict the temperature rise to 2 degrees by 2100, year 2100. So that is what we decided. And for that, every country declared the nationally determined contributions. So we have also declared our contribution. We have declared that we will reduce our emission intensity by 35%. Solar power, we will have 100 gigawatt by 2022, 175 gigawatt of renewable power by 2022, and now the Prime Minister has taken it to a new height of 450 gigawatts by 2030. So it's a huge target of renewable, which will be little more than 40% of our installed energy capacity. So that is also our second commitment. Third is we will create 2.5 billion tons of carbon equivalent sequestration, because that more greenery will ensure that, and more pro-carbon activities. We have also taken upon ourselves one goal of restoration of land to the tune of 26 million hectares in next 10 years. So this is what the India stands for, and I'm very happy to report, because you will be also reporting your progress. I must give you my report of what we have together achieved as a nation, that India is walking the talk. India is 2 degrees compliant in action and in contributions. And therefore, we are asking world leaders and world other countries that they also should walk the talk, and they also should be compliant with the Paris Agreement, and that is what is needed today. Our PM is passionate about climate change. He has declared 2 major issues he brought before Paris. That was, one was climate justice and other was lifestyle issues. Both were incorporated in the preamble of the Paris Agreement. And he has written a book titled Convenient Action. As you will recall, American Vice President Al Gore has written and had produced a documentary called Inconvenient Truth. In a way, by action, our Prime Minister has written that the answer to inconvenient truth is convenient action. And that community action path is very important. We have to be clean for ourselves. We have to limit the pollution, though we are not part of the problem. As we know historically, world is getting lot of emissions over hundreds of years since Industrial Revolution that has caused climate change. And our responsibility in historical emission is just 3%. Even today in the present context, our emission load of the world emission load or world is only 6%. So that is also, we are low in the present context. We are absolutely low in the historical context. And if we take the per capita load, it is very minuscule of 1.8 tons per annum per capita. And per capita is important because ultimately every person on the globe has a right to development. And that right to development will definitely cause some kind of emissions, and that he has a right to have it. The world average is more than double than what we are doing it, and therefore on all parameters India has performed tremendously well, and we are taking care of our nature. Our green cover, that is tree cover, has increased in last 6 years by 15,000 square kilometers. It's a huge development. Our emission intensity has reduced by 21%. That is also a great achievement. Before the onset of Paris Agreement, our plan of restoration of land is also ready, and we have already 87 gigawatts of renewable power. This is a huge increase in renewable power. Even yesterday, Cabinet passed and took a decision of one hydropower project. Every action in renewable direction makes India more greener and more committed to the cleaner actions. We have industrial leadership along with Sweden in the track that was developed in the UN. We have already taken a major decision of migration to BS6. Now the vehicles from 1st April are all BS6 compliant, and fuel is already available of BS6 compliant. I think within one life cycle, we will have all the vehicles converted into BS6, and that will absolutely reduce vehicular pollution to a great extent. It's a work in progress. And therefore, this is what is expected of. Now, as far as industries are concerned, I am very sure that many industries are very conscious of their duty towards nation and the world and the climate change, and therefore they are on their own doing green actions, making their plant emit less. That has a cost, because if in a thermal power plant, if we want to induct that FGD technology, it costs 50 lakh rupees per megawatt. It's a huge cost for a 600 megawatt generating unit. It will be 300 crore plus. So that is a huge cost. Every climate action has a cost, and that cost is very important barrier in making advances. So I am demanding with the world that we must be made available with the technology at an affordable cost. Because if world or the advanced countries which have innovated the technology, I am always appealing to them that they should not profit from disaster. And therefore, this kind of less emissions will be possible if technology is available at the right place. And as happened in Montreal Protocol, in the cooling action plan, there was complete compensation of the additional expenditure that was underwritten, and therefore this was the most successful program. I think now also world needs to provide money for developing economies to follow the environmental friendly path so that their emission level goes down. And that is what we aim at. So I will just appeal, and I'm very sure that many factories are actually doing that they are trying to reduce their emissions. They are bringing more greenery in their campuses and their areas of influence. They are also using new technologies for saving water, and energy efficiency is also one more concern which you are following up. So here I welcome again, because this is CEO's forum, not my forum, because you are the captains and you will give the shape to India's action in industrial front. So I will be happy to hear you. Everybody will get 3 minutes, and if you tell your own account of what you are pursuing and what you are doing, it will encourage us, and we will put this before the world. This is purpose of today's this open forum. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that insightful address. We have a very eminent list of speakers. We will be calling upon the MDs and CEOs in the alphabetical order of the companies for speech or statement not exceeding 3 minutes in view of the large number of speakers that we have today. First, I call upon Mr. S. Balakrishnan of ACC Limited, MD and CEO of ACC Limited, to make a statement.
Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Prakash Javadekar ji, and all the distinguished officials of the Ministry of MOEF and CC. It's a great privilege for me to participate in the second CEO Forum on Climate Change, which is an important event that enables companies like ACC to positively engage with the Government of India in addressing climate change issues. I would like to highlight some of the key achievements of ACC in reducing the carbon dioxide footprint and encouraging increased use of renewable energy, thereby reducing dependency on fossil fuels. First, with 512 kgs of carbon dioxide per ton of cementitious materials, ACC's carbon dioxide performance is one of the best in the Indian cement industries. This translates to 37% reduction in specific CO2 emissions when compared with the base year of 1990. Further, ACC has undertaken an ambitious target of achieving 400 kg of carbon dioxide per ton of cementitious materials by 2030, which is a massive 50% reduction with respect to the base year of 1990. During the year 2019, ACC has consumed 82 million units of renewable energy, which is 35.5 million units of wind energy through captive generation and 51.5 million units of solar power through purchase power agreements. With our ambitious plans in the area of renewable energy and WHRS, we aspire to meet.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, the senior officials of the ministry, and the other captains of the industry. Adani Transmission today is the largest integrated transmission and distribution company in India, and is the unique carrier of high voltage DC built by the private sector from western region up to the northern region, as also distributes power in the commercial city of Mumbai. It has taken several initiatives towards the energy transition, and it's nice to hear Minister saying that as a country, we are doing very well and we are now pushing the envelope across to the other countries to be equally responsive. So as a company contributing to the NDC targets that the country has positioned itself in, we wish to inform that in Mumbai city, the company is moving from the current procurement of 3% of renewable power to 30% by 2022 end and eventually 50% by 2025. So the consumers in Mumbai will be blessed to consume 50% of green power. We have made sure that all our substations and all the areas below the lines are made benign in terms of greening them to the extent we can. In terms of substation, these consume auxiliary power to a large extent, and the 100% auxiliary power is being converted to green sources. So we are putting the rooftops, we are putting solar power in the vacant areas and making sure that the entire consumption, self-consumption becomes 100% green. Similarly, all the areas, as I said, in the substation as also below the lines is being converted to shrubs and trees as suitable. And there is a very, very ambitious plan in terms of growing trees and mangroves all through the areas. These will become, in fact, the green lungs for India. We have also started a major initiative to convert the single-use plastic free by 2022, and the entire establishment will achieve so in the next 2 years. All the buildings and substations of the company across India are doing rainwater harvesting, and we actually recharge more water than we consume at our establishments, and we are happy to do so. So the same spree will now continue into the energy transition program that we are building across other organizations of the group. And we are very happy to confirm that we as a company will contribute in all aspects towards nation's voluntary commitment on climate change and will become benchmarks in being benign and green in all aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sardana. Next, we have Mr. Neeraj Akhoury, CEO, India Lafarge Holcim, and MD and CEO, Ambuja Cement Limited.
Namaskar, everybody. Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Javadekar ji, R.P. Gupta ji, Secretary of MUFC, Prakash ji, Additional Secretary, or Richa Sharma ji, Joint Secretary of Ministry of Environment and Forest. It's a great privilege to speak to this August gathering with all my fellow colleagues from different industries. I represent Lafarge Holcim in India, and we have two group companies in India, Ambuja Cement and ACC. And both of these companies have been contributing to sustainable development in the industry and committing to our vision to be most sustainable and competitive company in the industry. Just for record, sir, that Ambuja Cement was ranked fourth globally in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index under the construction material industry. Ambuja perhaps is the only Indian cement company to achieve this feat. We are also 8 times water positive today, with a vision to become 20 times water positive by 2030. Our next line of actions will include work on 4 pillars, and these 4 pillars are based on Lafarge Holcim's global target and global pledge to become net zero by 2050. The work that we are doing is on the topics of climate change, energy, circular economy, and communities. 2 parts which we wanted to talk about today. We have a great plan, a very strong plan to reduce our specific net CO emission by more than 40% over the 1990 level. And this we are doing through reduced use of clinker, one of the raw materials that we use on limestone, energy efficiencies, renewable energy, and waste heat recovery. Very happy to announce that Ambuja and ACC, we are one of the leaders in use of alternate fuel. At Ambuja and ACC, we have plans now to go from 5% thermal substitution to about 15%, and then onward journey to 30%. We have a very strong plan, sir, to use from currently about 8 million tons to 18 million tons of alternate fuels and waste derived fuel. Our work on renewable energy portfolio is continuing, sir, and we would like that by 2030 we are about 50% based on solar, wind, and biomass. Our work on water harvesting and biodiversity protection, sir, has been celebrated across. We are also doing a significant project across our consumer base on water harvesting now. And through our Ambuja Cement Foundation, we have been able to possibly impact the life of roughly about 2.6 million people, which is implemented across 2,400 villages in 11 states of India. Privileged to speak to all of you, sirs, and we would like to assure everybody that Ambuja and ACC will offer our wholeheartedly support and cooperation to the efforts of the Government of India and MUFCC to make India a proud country on climate change. Thank you very much, sirs.
Thank you, Mr. Akhori. Next, I will request Mr. Dilip Omen, Chief Executive Officer, ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel Limited.
Good morning, Honorable Minister Shri Javadekar ji, the Honorable officers of the Ministry, and esteemed fellow panelists. AMNS, ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel, is committed to protecting the environment and has taken the carbon footprint reduction, since that is the topic of discussion today, very seriously. We are not talking about the other aspects of sustainability. Between 2020 and 2015, there has been a reduction of 32% of CO2 generation per ton. And this is in the span of 5 years. And we intend to at least take it to 45% by the start of 2030. We are committed to decarbonization of the steel industry. The parent companies, ArcelorMittal and Nippon Steel, have been at the forefront of research and development in achieving carbon neutrality in the steel making process, and is committed to achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. AMNS has been the first company to comply with the ICEEP protocol and has met all the requirements. AMNS is also a signatory to Sustainable Development Charter of World Steel Association. It is committed to the 7 industry sustainable development principles to improve the social, economic, and environmental performance of the company. It is also, AMNS is also a World Steel Climate Action member. 15 projects have been identified and work is ongoing to improve the energy efficiency. Both PAT 1 and PAT 2 have been successfully achieved, and we aim to achieve much results in the coming years. We believe in circular carbon, clean electricity, and carbon capture and storage, not only from tree plantation, but also other means of technology will be used to capture the carbon. There is one aspect, Minister, that we have to keep in mind as we go further on this line of CO2 neutrality. It increases the cost of steel making. Therefore, it is important to protect the domestic steel industry, at least the industries, at least the company organizations that have implemented the required measures. Suitable incentives to the ones the ones that are complying should be in place, and we must protect imports from companies, either ban them or put stiff penalties where CO2 reduction practices are not in place. We fully support the initiative of the government. It's a laudable effort. We are in it 100%. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oman. And now we have Mr. Mahendra Singhi, MD and CEO, Dalmia Cement Bharat Limited. Please make your statement.
Namaskar and happy morning to all. Respected Sri Javadekar Sahab, Honorable Minister for Climate Change, not for India, for the whole world. I would like to congratulate the Government of India for the proactive role towards driving actions on climate change and setting India's NDCs to 2 degrees centigrade compatible. And I'm sure India is one of the few large economies who have committed their NDCs compliant with this, which is being hailed and appreciated world over, including in the climate tracker message also. Government is taking number of initiatives towards renewable energy, circular economy, and particularly of circular economy, usage of plastic waste, at the same time reduction of plastic waste, importance of giving fly ash management focus would also go a long way in tackling climate change. We are thankful to Ministry of Environment for inviting the industry for exchange of views on the noble cause of this climate change, sir. Government's active participation in various global initiatives have also brought a laurel to the country, and I have seen personally myself the active participation and leadership, sir, of yours in UN, COP, and various forums. We strongly believe that the role of private sector in low carbon transition of industry is to bring innovative business models to make commercial sense from low carbon transition, adopt circular economy approach to minimize the waste generation and usage of waste, and to partner with government on cutting edge research and technology. Sir, our climate actions are led by our vision, where we have to evoke pride in all our stakeholders through customer centricity, innovation, sustainability, and our values. We are proactively taking various steps to reduce carbon footprints, and as a result of which we can proudly say, along with my friends, that we are one of the lowest carbon footprint cement company globally. Our carbon footprints are almost 60% of global average, and that speaks great of not only the company but of India also. We have also been able to highlight our performance, and that's why we have been also highlighted as one of the innovative company in climate mitigation by our UN Secretary General also as an innovative company. BBC World also has identified as one of the 5 climate defender in the world, and Carbon Disclosure Project CDP has identified Dalmia Cement as number 1 in low carbon economy transition, along with our 4 other friends, cement companies of India, out of the 10 global companies. That speaks well of Indian cement sector, sir. We are actively collaborating with various institutions such as the Climate Group, CDP, World Economic Forum, Energy Transition Commission, GCCA, We Mean Business, TEDI, etc., just to get knowledge also, as well as also to highlight India's performance. We are also part, which you have made us, in the UN leadership group of heavy industry, net zero transition by 2050, along with the Sweden and India, that we are one of the few companies who have been also brought in to show the leadership. In line, sir, with Paris Climate Agreement, as well with our philosophy of clean and green is profitable and sustainable. In 2018, when no company or no country was talking about carbon neutrality, we created a roadmap of carbon negative by 2040. Now, all those roadmaps and plans are in place, which also highlights that by 2030, we will be using only renewable energy, no thermal energy. By 2035, we'll be using only alternate material, which we call green fuel instead of fossil fuel. By 2040, by using carbon capture and technology, and by making captured carbon as a usable raw material for others, we would be carbon negative by 2040. It's a ambitious target which we have taken and started journey with the thinking of that government of India and others would support as well. We are also fully conscious that now in a year or two, as per clause 6 of the Paris Climate Agreement, international carbon market would emerge, which would be able to support our efforts on various projects, sir. And this we call, like government's NDCs, we call it as a Dalmia dedicated contribution, DDC. All these our measures will make our cement fully green, and coupled with this, we are also, sir, working on various sustainability development goals, which is also making us a very good corporate citizen. On waterfront, we are already 5 times water positive and have targeted that by 2025, we should be 20 times water positive. Now, the expectation from the government and the industry friends is that we should have this CO forum or the government industry partnership in a very practical way, which can help in sharing information about the actions as well. Government also brings in clean, green finance for various such projects, which may help as well. Government should also support industry in going for international carbon trading, so that like what we did and what Ravi Prasadji also highlighted about CDM, in which Indian companies were quite benefited. So same should happen with this, so that there will not be much burden on companies and government, but then that will be shared by various other countries, sir. We are now requesting also that there be a good policies by the government for use of solar power or putting up the solar power plant for industry. At the moment, there are no such policies which supports power plants, solar power plant setup for industry. So that may be looked at it, and I'm sure now with this approach which you have taken by involving all such industry leaders who are here and who are committing their commitments and actions, India would emerge further bigger. And lastly, I would say the way Indian government has taken leadership on International Solar Alliance. So same way, if on bamboo plantation and usage of bamboo can also be made as a International Bamboo Alliance, by which it can generate huge rural employment, can also help in using wasteland of the government, and at the same time can also replace fossil fuel or coal by this bamboos. And it is a win-win situation. In some way, it has already been tried out in Vidarbha area, your area, and it can go throughout and would definitely enhance the income of the rural people. And lastly, I would say that I would like to quote from Rigveda, Ano Bhadra, Pratavo Yantu Vishwatam. Let all noble thoughts come to us from the globe, and for us at the moment from all the CEOs who are present here. Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Singhi, for those suggestions. Next, I would request Mr. Santosh Chandra, CEO, SR Oil and Gas Exploration Limited, to address us.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Minister Shri Prakash Javadekar ji, senior officials of the ministry, industry leaders, and my colleagues. Good morning and namaskar. It's very heartening to see the industry leaders and government interacting under the aegis of the CEO Forum, which is such a critical issue of climate change. That having returned to India this summer after a long stint overseas in London, UK, as well as Prestige, East Africa, last of which was in Uganda, which is a beautiful place. I had the opportunity to firsthand witness the global insights and thought process on climate change and how the energy transition is occurring across the world. We at SR Oil and Gas Exploration Production Company are focused on a key value chain, particularly in the energy transition, that is the development of unconventional hydrocarbon gas, primarily from coal bed methane. And we have a flagship project Ranganj East on the famous Ranganj coal fields, where we have already achieved commerciality and have achieved a lakh meter cube per day of gas, which we intend to take it threefold over the next 3 years as soon as the critical Urja Ganga project is commissioned in the next few months, which is very, very imminent, and under the vision of Honorable Prime Minister in focusing on the eastern side of India, where there is a lot of potential for development. We as a company have been focusing ever since we have been producing in the last 4-5 years in getting people to convert from coal, which is we know is the fuel of choice because of its cost, but also converting them from energy efficiency as well as to a low carbon footprint, basically methane gas that is indigenously produced and in a large scale, particularly in eastern India. We are the only larger project. Globally, there has been an active trend, as I said, on energy transition with the oil and gas industry, and particularly the majors taking a conscious portfolio revision and focusing on natural gas, which will be the bridge as we move from fossil fuels to totally renewables. Given that energy demand in India will keep on rising in line with the aspirations of growing rapidly, the data shows that energy demand in India is expected to by 2040. The recently published VP Outlook, Energy Outlook, also paints a similar picture and maintains that India will remain a big source, a demand center for this mix, and hydrocarbons and particularly gas will retain a significant share of this energy mix. To mitigate the environmental and the climate change aspect, Government of India is clearly promoting the use of clean gas in line with our Honorable Prime Minister's vision of gas-based economy, and the energy mix moving from 6%, which is currently gas is only 6% of energy mix, to 15% in the next 10 years. And we will be right there supporting that initiative. CPN gas, as I said, has got direct environmental friendly signature, particularly because all coal beds, when we go and do mining, we just release that methane into the atmosphere when either you're doing underground or you're doing open cast mining. By allowing CBM methane as per the policy change of the government and extraction and supporting that, we get the advantage of first basically demethanizing the coal before they are mined. And that it's a dual benefit. And I think that should be really continued to be promoted. We remain committed to the vision of India in terms of putting the natural gas in the energy mix. In terms of local, I had already mentioned that by doing this, asking a lot of the local industry to shift from coal to methane, if I do the calculations, we are all this project is kind of carbon negative, because we use the natural gas even for our gas generators in the field and all consumption. So, and shifting a lot of iron foundries and local industry to gas is having a great benefit. In terms of future planning, clearly the government has provided the thrust on the natural gas on several sectors, and we would like to extract what is called the shale gas, which we have talked a lot about, a great revolution in the US, but more so in India as the industry develops as well as the evacuation routes open. There is a lot of potential out there, mainly supporting our gas-based economy and the Atmanirbhar Bharat in energy. As a partner of the upstream industry, given that we are only few of them representing in this forum, we would like your unstinted support to ensure that some of the the environment and forest clearances that particularly apply to gas and all that are really always seen in terms of a critical necessary condition for getting this gas out from areas where future mining of coal and other things will happen. And we look forward to your support. EOGPL endorses the declaration, and its leadership has the resolve to formulating collective, strong and effective steps in our projects to combat climate change and benefiting the current as well as future generation. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Chandra. I would request all these speakers to kindly limit themselves to 3 minutes because we have a long list of speakers and we would like to listen to all of them. Next, I would request Mr. Ratul Puri, Chairman, Hindustan Power Projects Limited, to address us.
Good morning, Honorable Minister. Good morning, secretaries and industry leaders. As we are aware, climate change is one of the most important and critical challenges the world is currently facing. Besides being a challenge, it's also an opportunity. So we have to see it as an opportunity, whilst we look at it as a challenge that has to be addressed. I believe this challenge can be solved by close cooperation between governments, the private sector, and civil society. We as a company have been involved in the renewable revolution right from the beginning. We set up some of the earliest manufacturing plants in solar. We set up some of the earliest large-scale grid-connected solar power plants that were set up in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Today, the great advantage of renewable energy is that that rapid development and technology has enabled a path to a viable, sustainable, and most importantly, economically sensible, low-carbon future for the world. I think for the first time, it's technologically and financially viable to imagine a world where the environment and climate forms the focus for policymakers, business leaders, and consumers. I don't think it's any more a choice between are we going to choose a low or a high carbon future? I think we are certainly going down the path of a low carbon future and we are going to decarbonize. But along that presents a massive opportunity, I think, for the world and particularly for India. I think we're in the midst of a massive revolution where transport and electricity value chains are going to significantly decarbonize over 15 years. So I think there's going to be major change. India faces the unique challenge, the dual challenge of needing to provide both safe and reliable electricity to its 1.3 billion citizens, while simultaneously trying to implement one of the world's most ambitious and visionary renewable energy programs. As Hindustan Power, we've always been a technology leader, we've been an innovation leader, and we operate across the coal, thermal, solar, and hydro value chains. And we believe one of the most crucial aspects of being able to implement India's renewable program is going to be able to provide dispatchable electricity to this country, dispatchable clean electricity to this country. And we are currently developing various storage technologies. We are working with a number of companies globally to develop storage technologies because the future of energy and the future of electricity eventually will be in storage. And we believe that in this transitionary phase where we transition to significant amounts of renewable energy, and as we feed this renewable energy into the grid, the ability to develop and store energy will be the crucial enabler for India's renewable energy vision. I think the recent program that's being developed is a great example of cooperation between the private sector, the government, policymakers, where there's a new bill that's coming out, which is going to be a combination of storage, renewable energy, coal thermal, hydro, a combination of multiple energy sources, and obviously the deployment of very advanced technologies to enable delivery of electricity at a price which is 20% cheaper to 25% cheaper than the cost of conventional energy. Deliver electricity that's fully dispatchable, so electricity that's available 24/7. I think the big challenge with renewables has always been the fact that renewables are intermittent. The sun doesn't shine at night, but deliver electricity that is fully dispatchable, 24/7 electricity. And most importantly, this electricity would have a carbon footprint that would be certainly 50% lower than conventional energy. I hope we can play a small role in both the world's transition and in India's vision for climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Puri. Next, we have Mr. Sanjeev Puri, Chairman and Managing Director, ITC Limited.
Honorable Minister Shri Javadekar ji, Mr. R.P. Gupta ji, distinguished officials and colleagues from the industry, namaste. Let me first compliment the Honorable Minister and the government for the far-sighted action taken to address this issue of climate change. It is indeed laudable today that we are all meeting today, and this declaration today is certainly going to set out a very purposeful message from India and hopefully inspire many to act on this very critical issue sooner than later. ITC supports the government vision for climate action, and our approach is deeply aligned to India's NDC's commitments. For 2 decades now, we have adopted a low carbon strategy with increasing focus on large-scale sequestration, renewable energy, climate-smart agriculture, amongst others. ITC has moved beyond neutrality to being the only company in the world of comparable dimensions on all the 3 dimensions of being water positive, carbon positive, solid waste recycling positive for 18, 15, and 13 years in a row. Aligned to the declaration today, I am happy today to reaffirm the following commitments on our part. Currently, over 41% of ITC's total energy consumption is from renewable sources, despite our large agri-manufacturing and services footprint. ITC will target 50% of its total energy requirements from renewable sources in the next decade. Our objective is also to achieve a 50% specific GHG emissions reduction from a base of 14-15. ITC today has 30 LEED Platinum rated buildings, and going forward, we are going to enhance the footprint of our Green Platinum rated buildings. Our large-scale afforestation program has cumulatively greened 8,25,000 acres and generated 150 million person days of employment. We aim to progressively sequester over 4 times the CO2 emissions from our operations, contributing to India's emission reduction efforts. To reduce climate vulnerability of stakeholders, ITC has implemented a large-scale water stewardship program bringing soil and moisture conservation to over 1 million acres, as well as progressively working towards water security in the catchment areas of our operations. Taking this forward, we plan to create rainwater harvesting potential equivalent to over 5 times our net water consumption from operations by 2030. We will also work with all our stakeholders in the agri-value chain to improve water use efficiency, wherein our pilot at scale with over 200,000 farmers has demonstrated a reduction of 25 to 45% across 5 crops in a matter of 2 years. ITC's Wellbeing Out of Waste program today covers 1 crore citizens, providing end-to-end comprehensive solutions for management of solid waste, and it will be scaled up further in the years to strengthen our solid waste recycling positive status. We aim to ensure that 100% of our packaging is reusable, recyclable, or compostable in the next decade. In addition, we have made investments in a packaging center of excellence to progress on sustainable packaging, with some solutions already commercially available, and also some innovative solutions to reuse multi-layer plastics. Agriculture and farmers are the most vulnerable to climate change. While ITC's eChopal has empowered 4 million farmers, we have now launched the Climate Smart Village program to increase resilience by making villages weather, water, seeds, nutrient, and market smart. With over 800 villages already covered, it is our aspiration to implement the Climate Smart Village approach in over 3 million acres by 2030. ITC is also committed to restoring degraded village commons and pasture lands to enrich biodiversity. We have a plan right now to enrich biodiversity in 2.5 lakh with 5 lakh acres. Honorable Minister, as I conclude, may I also once again take this opportunity to congratulate you for the far-sighted approach and to reiterate ITC's commitment to contribute to India's effort in addressing the issues of climate change. Thank you very much.
ITC.
Next, I would request Mr. Sheshagiri Rao from the JSW Group, Joint Managing Director, to address us.
Good morning, sir. We sincerely thank Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change for inviting and involving the private sector leadership as a partner to India's climate action under the chairmanship of Honorable Minister Sri Prakash Javadekar. It is an absolute honor and pleasure to be part of this program that is underlining the pivotal role of private sector in creating a low carbon and sustainable economies without compromising collective and holistic growth aspirations of the nation. Sir, we at JSW Steel Operations, we have reduced our CO2 emissions by 25% from 2005 levels and have set a target to reduce by 41% by 2030. We have implemented the best available technologies such as coke dry quenching for coke ovens, waste heat recovery and use, top pressure recovery turbines in blast furnaces, hot stove waste recovery systems, LD waste heat recovery, barrows, center cooler waste recovery boiler.
Mr. Rao, we are not able to hear you. We'll come back to you later because we have.
He is there.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Sir, we have operationalized the largest pipe conveyors to transport iron ore in the state of Karnataka direct from mines, thereby reducing carbon emissions and improving the socio-economic condition of the people around the road transport corridor. We have similar plans to implement over 300 kilometers slurry pipeline in the state of Orissa. We have created a carbon sink of around 3 million plantations capable of sequestering around 1.2 million tons of CO2 through systematic afforestation. In addition, sir, as a part of coastal protection and climate change mitigation, we have implemented a program of mangrove restoration at our Dolvi in Maharashtra, where we have planted over 1 million mangrove plantations that not only provided direct income benefit to the self-help groups, but would sequester around 185,000 tons CO2. To achieve CO2 emissions below 2 tons CO2 per ton of crude steel by 2030, we plan to continue implementation of BAT to improve raw material quality, process yield, energy efficiency, and process reliability to achieve efficiency levels that are commensurate with the industry's highest standards. We have set a target to achieve carbon neutrality at our coated steel plants in the state of Maharashtra, operating at Wasin, Tarapur, and Kalmeshwar by 2030 through a series of energy efficiency measures, renewable energy-based electric energy use, etc., fuel switch to natural gas and carbon offsets. We have committed for our JSW Energy, our power company, to reach net zero emissions by not later than 2050, backed by the interim science-based targets under SPTI. We have installed 1,410 megawatts of renewable energy and plan to add another 5,000 megawatts in our JSW Energy Limited by 2025. JSW Cement, sir, another company which we have in our group, having lowest net direct emissions at 298 kg per ton of cement, set targets to maintain our leadership position. Towards deep decarbonization in the hard-to-abate sectors that we operate, it is essential that future technologies such as carbon capture utilization and storage and the use of green hydrogen as a reductant are proven to be commercially viable and used at scale. Towards this, we seek your support to have right collaborations with possible funding and technology support to demonstrate and operationalize those at scale. To end with, sir, growth may be achieved in isolation, but sustainable development needs us to work together to make a better world for tomorrow. At JSW, we are committed towards that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. Next, we have Mr. S.P. Shukla, Group President, Mahindra Group. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. A very good morning to Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Prakash Javadekar, senior officials of the ministry. I'm sure the whole industry joins me in complimenting and applauding this wonderful initiative of the government. Sir, we are with you. We are all aware that climate change will affect nations and people, men and women, rich and poor. And it will not discriminate when it unleashes its impact through temperature, water availability or lack of it, diseases and destruction. The planet will survive climate change, as it has done many times before. But we, the people of India and the people of the world, will certainly experience disruption, and the living conditions will become less than hospitable in many parts of the country. The Paris Agreement has been a huge step forward, and India has set ambitious goals. We are showing as a nation that our delivery is as strong as our promise. Yet there is a lot more to do, because the aggregate of all the promises made by the nations of this world is not enough to solve the problem. As a responsible corporate house, the Mahindra Group is committed to help India succeed. A low carbon development path is a win-win for all concerned and gives India a way of strengthening our soft power that we are proud of as a nation. It also significantly enhances our economic power by reducing our import bill and leveraging the demographic dividend. Mahindra Group has its activities spread across many sectors: automotive, electric cars, tractors, agri-businesses, micro-irrigation, solar energy, logistics, IT sector, and defense. Taking concrete action is the only way forward. That is why the Mahindra Group, through all its companies, has proactively pursued ways to enhance energy productivity, adoption of renewable energy across all companies, take tangible steps towards creating a circular economy, enhance water harnessing, encourage the adoption of micro-irrigation. We build green buildings through our housing company. We continue to deliver on our promise of planting more than 1 million trees every year. We understand that some sectors of the economy must do more to give space to other sectors. They may find it difficult in the short run. We are in it together. We must all work together to succeed, and we see this ethos in the declaration, which we at Mahindra are happy and proud to be signatory of. It is our privilege to join hands with all stakeholders to help India keep its commitments and help the world succeed in impeding, slowing down, and then reversing the negative changes, negative effects of the climate change. May we all succeed together. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Shukla. Next, I would request Mr. B. Anand, Chief Executive Officer, Nayara Energy Limited, to make his statement. Mr. B. Anand, Chief Executive Officer, Nayara Energy Limited. Perhaps he is not able to join us. Next, we have Ms. Nandini Piramal, Executive Director, Piramal Enterprises Limited. Ma'am, please address.
Good morning and namaskar, Honorable Minister. It is an honor to be here. At Piramal, our corporate philosophy of doing well and doing good and doing the right things so that our employees, the community at large, and the environment are protected while leaving minimal environmental footprints is integral to our environment philosophy. We are dedicated to maintaining high standards of environment performance and excellence. As a responsible corporate citizen, Piramal recognizes and is mindful of climate change as a vital material aspect of the business and provides for strong various initiatives through our strong management systems and formal programs to address the aspects related to stewardship in energy, water, and resource conservation, increase local sourcing that support the various global initiatives and programs. We have dedicated team members from R&D, operational excellence, environment, health and safety, and supply chain to actually look at these through formal, objective, and science-based approaches. We applaud the intentions of international agreements such as the UN Framework and Convention on Climate Change, and we understand that to be effective, we need industry support, and we are committed to playing our part. We have been managing and reducing our carbon footprint for many years. We've reduced our direct carbon emissions by 5% through an implementation of a systematic energy reduction program in 2015. We've also looking at how do we reduce our environmental impact across the value chain by 1/4 by 2030 from a 2015 baseline. We're going to make this measurable and sustained progress against targets, including in reducing our carbon emissions, increasing the amount of energy sourced by renewable sources, such as biomass for fuel and solar energy in our offices. We recognize that energy consumption throughout our supply chain has implications for climate change. We therefore encourage our suppliers, vendors, and to share our best practice through the supplier engagement program. We also support the Montreal Protocol on substances to delete the ozone layer and the Kigali Amendment. And so we are working to phase out the use of ozone-depleting substances in our plants and equipment owned by Piramal. We're committed to a transparent reporting of environmental data, and we publish our value chain carbon footprint in our annual report. Our endeavors are aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals as defined by the United Nations and our Honorable Prime Minister. We're working on SDGs 3, 4, 6, and 7, good health, well-being, quality education, clean water and sanitation, as well as clean energy. And we are looking at doing environmental excellence through sustainable growth initiatives. And so we've implemented the core program, Creating Optimal and Responsible Environment Program, which has helped us contribute to the larger goal of sustainable development. We are working also on conservation of resources, so whether it's water security, where we are working on minimizing our water consumption, water management, we have zero liquid discharge sites, and we are looking at providing drinking water to over 10 lakh people every single day through water ATMs across 10 states. Air quality, we are also looking at stringent process controls and technologies to control indoor air quality as well as the use of closed systems. We are focusing also on recycling wherever possible and safe and secure disposal in remaining cases. And we treat all hazardous waste, including rejected and expired pharmaceutical products from our manufacturing facilities. We are also looking at doing more to conserve energy, assess viable energy efficient projects, and take initiatives to help environment stability. I think the environment and the climate change will have an impact that can impact business operations and the future growth of the company. So therefore, we are looking to play our part to reduce the temperature and the global heating by increasing tree plantation and looking at a robust government framework to actually minimize our environmental impact. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Piramal. The next speaker is Mr. Sanjay Mashruwala, MD, Reliance Industries Limited.
Honorable Minister Shri Javadekar ji, respected secretaries, friends, good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity for outlining our perspective of the present climate situation, as also to highlight the initiatives undertaken by Reliance Group towards sustainability. Rapid climate change is a serious concern for the humanity. We believe it is a collective and moral responsibility of the government, private enterprises, and individual citizens to address the problem of climate change with utmost urgency and dedication. We owe that to our future generations. We fully concur with the commitment of NDC for lowering carbon emissions. I take this opportunity to mention a number of initiatives undertaken by us. For ensuring maximum use of clean energy in all the operations by collaborating with the best-in-class technology licensors, all 7 RIL plants have set targets under Perform, Achieve and Trade PAT scheme. So far, we have achieved a total greenhouse gas reduction of 351,000 tons of CO2 in the last year due to these energy conservation efforts. We have recycled over 74 million meter cube of water during the year 1920. At Jamnagar, we produce all our fresh water through desalination, essentially using surplus heat energy, and used all the recycled water for horticulture, having grown world's largest mango orchard. By ensuring efficient use of solid catalyst and development of biocatalysts, we have reduced quantity of unusable spent catalyst, and we recycle part of the spent catalyst to cement industries as alternate fuel and raw material. As a part of Extended Producer Responsibility, EPR, we promote proper disposal of e-waste through an exchange scheme operational across all our retail stores. There are 6 collection centers across India maintained by our Producer Responsibility Organization, PROs, which serve as the recycling unit for the e-waste collected. We have so far planted more than 2.2 crore saplings across all RIL sites. As a policy, we never cut a tree. It is always transplanted if it is coming in the way of any development. We have recycled post-consumer PET bottles. We have collected more than 2 billion bottles, coming to about 36,000 metric tons of waste during year 2019 and 20, converting it to products like Recron Green Gold. We have made strategic investments in stabilized petcoke gasification, which has helped to reduce natural gas consumption. Gas turbines at Jamnagar have been retrofitted in a phased manner to facilitate syngas firing capability with reduced NOx and SOx emission and eliminating use of natural gas. Last year, we started installing solar panels at Geo Tower sites and generated over 37,000 kilowatts of solar energy. In current year, we will be installing over 100 megawatt of distributed solar installation to power these 4G tower sites. With these and other efforts, we aim to achieve carbon neutral status by the year 2035. Proactive management of core issues such as energy, environment, and climate action are part of our business strategy. Reliance's endeavor is always to create a culture of safety, health, and environment for sustainable development. Sir, we reiterate our pledge towards working together with the government for India's call for not just Atmanirbhar, but also carbon-free Bharat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mashruwala. Next, we have Mr. Sumant Sinha, CMD, Renew Power Private Limited. Please address us.
Shri Prakash Javadekar ji, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and other respected officials of the MOEFCC, colleagues from the industry. I think India has a wonderful opportunity today to take the leadership position on climate change and set an example for other countries. And we've really taken giant steps, I think, in that regard under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and especially all the work that we've done in the last few years and at the Paris Climate Accord. The power sector also needs to be remade. Mobility needs to be reimagined, and industries need to step up to put India on the path of a carbon light growth. Our company, sir, Renew Power, is deeply committed in enabling this energy transition in India. Today, we are responsible for generating 1% of India's total electricity generation, and in doing so, also help mitigate 0.5% of India's total carbon emissions per annum. We currently have a contracted and commissioned clean energy capacity of 10 gigawatts already, and we wish to increase this multifold in the coming years. Our vision eventually is to be a responsible leader in providing clean energy solutions to make this planet a better place to live in. This would include setting up more large-scale solar and wind farms, investing in upcoming clean energy technologies, building an entire ecosystem of domestic end-to-end manufacturing, and investing in batteries and storage solutions for better grid management in the future, thus enabling a carbon light growth and eventually a carbon-free growth in the country. Our target at Renew Power is to invest and set up approximately 20 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity and 2 gigawatts of solar manufacturing capacity by 2025. We already have more than 110 wind and solar sites in many different parts of India. Industrial emissions also have to be addressed, and I'm glad to say that we are already talking to a number of the companies in this group of companies that are there today in their desire to help them become clean companies. We also stand ready to work on the Prime Minister's vision for Atmanirbhar Bharat in our sector, and also to help in the One World, One Sun, One Grid alliance that is sought to be created. In addition, we also work towards creating sustainable communities by providing clean energy solutions in rural and semi-urban parts of the country. So the Indian power sector could be one of the biggest infrastructure investment opportunities and place India in the top 3 in terms of renewable energy capacity in the coming years. While this will by itself not fully address climate change issues, it will nevertheless help developing countries like India follow a different, less carbon-intensive path of growth in the future. Among the many issues where we can seek further help and support from the ministry are, I think, one is to potentially place develop a global carbon pricing system, which will enable, I think, to some extent, larger investments in India. We also had under the Kyoto Protocol a CDM mechanism. The pricing under that has collapsed because the value of those CDM credits has really not taken off. That is something that I think, again, the ministry could be pushing for, because there are a number of accumulated CDM credits that are outstanding at this point in time for Indian companies, and this could immediately provide a liquidity boost for companies that have accumulated these CDM credits. The ministry could also look at issues around technology transfer, how to fund those, and especially in trying to move certain technology developments on the storage side and grid management side to move that towards India. And I think also assist and help in trying to provide overall funding for investments in our sector, just given the total amount of investment that we will require. As we know, the Prime Minister's program is for 450 gigawatts of total renewable energy capacity in the next 10 years. And between the investments in generation and the investments on the transmission side and the grid management side, that will by itself require an investment of almost $500 billion of total investments into this sector over the next 10 years' time, which is going to be quite a mammoth ask. And so therefore, any funding that we can get into these areas, any technology improvements that we can get, I think that would be very useful to help us develop a more efficient, more effective, and cleaner energy sector for the country going forward. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha. Next, I would request Mr. Arun Bharatram, Chairman, SRF Limited, to make his statement.
Honorable Shri Prakash Javadekar ji and the officials from the government. At the outset, I would like to, am I visible to the?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You are visible and we can listen to you.
Okay,
Please.
thank you. At the outset, I would like to start by complimenting the Government of India, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and the captains of industry who are here with us today for having made significant strides towards minimizing the impact of climate change as we remain committed to the achievement of the long-term goals under the Paris Agreement that was nationally discussed and decided by the government and industry. While a lot has been achieved, I believe that combating climate change and transforming the energy landscape are core ongoing tasks on the path to a sustainable future for business, society, and environment. India is a signatory of the Montreal Protocol to phase out fluorocarbons (CFCs) and hydrofluorochlorocarbons (HCFCs). We, being the largest producers of both these gases, were an exemplary example of it effectively partnering with the government and phasing out the CFCs ahead of schedule. And the same is true as far as HCFCs are concerned. We are on a path to phase down HCFCs again ahead of schedule. Backed by strong R&D, we at SRF continue to develop products and processes which help in the reduction of global warming potential and reduce emissions. In this regard, I am happy to share that we have not only transitioned to the next generation of HFC products, but also have achieved global scale in terms of operations. Today, we are amongst the largest companies in manufacturing refrigerant gases of the new generation. Our journey continues as we develop products that will further reduce the GWP and emissions and offer more environmentally responsible solutions. Sir, Mr. Minister, I would like to say that India is going to, in the future, be a knowledge-based industry. And that is where we are going to see the potential of the Indian scientists actually being at par with the best in the world. We are seeing this in our industry, and we have no hesitation in saying that we are going to be totally Atmanirbhar. We will not require technology transfer. We will not have any requirement of having other countries having to give us technology. We will develop everything in-house, and we are more or less there as far as new generation refrigerant gases are concerned, which will be absolutely minimal GWP and no ozone implications whatsoever. We've also been increasingly shifting our energy profile to fully realize the potential of renewable and innovative energy sources. In addition, our focus on shared value creation on the well-being of the community is what drives us. We have helped thousands and thousands of families in villages to conserve water and to grow trees and crops. And this is being done on a mutual partnership basis. Sir, I would like to make a recommendation that today factories are mandated to set aside 30% of very precious and expensive land as green belts in our factories. So if you have a factory which has got 100 acres of land, 30% of the 30 acres of that has to be set aside for as green belts. Now, I'm not saying green belts are not important, but I would suggest that we should have a program of allowing us to build solar panels and build solar panels in such a way that below the solar panels we can still grow shrubs, which will keep the environment green, and it will provide us very expensive land energy that could be used in our factories. So this is something which you should seriously consider, and I think it will be a win-win situation for industry and managing the environment. I would like to once again thank you for having been very proactive uh, right from the time we started working together as industry and government in negotiating during the Paris Agreement and even before that. And let me assure you that as far as refrigerants are concerned, we will be at par with the best in the world, and we will make sure that our emissions are lower than anywhere else in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bharat Ram. Next, we would request Mr. Anil Kumar Jain, CEO Sun Pharma, to address us.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister Prakash Javadekar ji, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, Additional Secretary MOECC, distinguished dignitaries, industry leaders. Sir, it's a great privilege for us to participate in such a forum to discuss the climate change. This is wonderful in your leadership. We believe this declaration signing for private sector is not only a historical event, but this would also set tone for others to follow and then make the necessary improvements in the same direction. Sir, as written by you, India is a party to UNFCCC. So we have submitted the NDC for progressing on 3 distinct areas covering emission intensity, green power, and carbon sink by afforestation. We at Sun has taken a place to make the difference by adopting as much as possible the global practices or methodologies. We believe these initiatives are business critical for us, and Sun Pharma has taken various initiatives in the field of GHG emission reductions as well as energy efficiency. To name a few, I will just read for your information. Our initiative in the wind energy are testimony of our commitment. In the current financial year 20, we have generated around 1.6 million kilowatt hour of the clean energy. Carbon emissions, as of now, 13 of our facilities have been converted with the biomass fuel as boilers, and we are today generating steam equivalent of 120 tons per hour equivalent of this from this green fuel. Similarly, in pharmaceuticals, sir, we consume a lot of energy in our utilities. So we have taken a very unique program in the utilities wherein we are working on energy efficient refrigeration compressed system, but also wherever we are not able to replace these systems, we have undertaken a program by which we are going for an online cleaning system. And this has given us 15% reduction straightforward in our energy bill in last 2 years. This has given us a lot of benefit as well as this has saved the numerous energy also. Sir, as a rainwater harvesting, any building or any plant we construct in last 2 years has got this system, and everywhere we practice the rainwater harvesting, and this is also giving us not only lot of environment benefit, but this is also giving us the lot of water which we are preserving and then saving and then using it for our day-to-day consumptions. Similarly, in our research center, we have a dedicated team who are working on internal program for making the processes which are green and friendly. And I'm happy to share that in last 2 years, many processes have been worked out where water is used as a solvent, and we could avoid the precious use of solvents. And this has also given us not only the benefits in terms of the cost, but also has saved the environment. Similarly, another ambitious program which we have taken in these plants is that we are working on digitization. We believe that digitization is the area which will make us to optimize not only our energy uses, but it also is helping us to improve our productivity also, and this is a huge boon in the existing current plants also. I would also like to areas where as a company we may not be able to make the impact, but if we work as an industry community, areas like waste product recovery, where each other if we can compensate by waste product recovery, and then community afforestation, I think we will be able to make a lot of meaningful beginning and then impact on this. Once again, thank you very much for providing this opportunity. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. Next, I would Mr. Tulsi Tanti, CMD Suzlon Energy Limited. He is also the recipient of Champion of the Earth Award from UNEP and Hero of Environment Award from the Time magazine. Mr. Tapi, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you and Honorable Minister Javadekar ji, R.P. Gupta ji, all officers and industries captains. Thank you for opportunity speaking on such a critical subject of climate change for our nations. I'm delighted to sign the charter for the private sector participation in this regards. I truly welcome this initiative where we define and take charge of India's the climate actions. I also believe the Indian government is recognizing this problem and taking a significant measure to put together a plan for our country's fight against the climate change. Compared to other nations, we are quite ahead and we are proactive. To mitigate the climate risk, the power sector can play a very important role through the renewable energy source. The highest carbon is produced through the power generations, logistics, and vehicles, which consumes the heavily coal and oil. If we can reduce this consumption, we can be able to achieve our carbon footprint reduction drastically. If we leverage the renewable energy as a strategic resource and bring the comprehensive framework to produce and use the maximum renewable energy to reduce us for the more than 50% coal and oil by 2030. Sir, it is truly achievable. On behalf of the renewable energy sector and specifically for the wind energy sector, I would like to assure you that we will do everything in our capacity for our nation to become a carbon neutral country, powered by the sustainable power, generating local jobs, stimulating an economy and creating an inclusive development for all. Today, the government vision is very clear to move from the conventional to renewable energy source, the domestic manufacturing, domestic jobs, creation of the low cost of the power, and it is all about the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Our Honorable Prime Minister has set the very good target for the industries to deliver 250 gigawatt of renewable energy by year 2030, which will attract almost the $500 billion investment in our nation, which will create enormous jobs. Not only that, it will give energy securities and create the long-term sustainable jobs to make India more sustainable. The country has pledged 35% reduction in the emission intensity of the economy by 2030 compared to the 2050 levels. The current share of renewable energy in the energy mix in the country is at 25%, is expected to increase 50% by 2030. And as an industries, we are very committed and confident to deliver this 50% reduction in a carbon by reduction in the increase in the renewable energy in the sectors. However, need a key structural reform and renewable sectors to achieve this target. Sir, we have a few suggestions. If we can really take great initiatives towards this 3-4 points, we are confident to deliver our national target by 2030. A comprehensive round-the-clock renewable energy power plant policy for wind, solar, and storage, or instead of solar storage, we can add hydro or gas, which all are the renewable source, and by making is a power plant solution rather than standalone wind or standalone solar. But this required a minimum 50% plus PLF. The way our coal plant is running at 60-65%, if we bring this comprehensive power source solutions policy framework, I'm confident which we can able to replace our old coal-based power plant and replacing by the renewable energy source. Because today is a renewable energy source is an additional source rather than main source. Now we want to come in the main source. The renewable energy produced in the night should go to the storage to be used in the electrical vehicle so that we can reduce our requirement to importing oil by 50% by 2030. Sir, we can give the night energy at very low cost to all the vehicles consumers, and they can charge in the night and they can use the all vehicles in the daytimes. By that way, we can leverage the energy opportunity, and also we can reduce our oil import, which can bring another level of the energy securities. Need to bring a policy to change in the consumers' behavior for energy consumption.
because we have a huge peak load in the morning and evening. Now digital world is there. Through technology and other things, we can distribute our energy consumption in a 24-hour cycles in a such a way so that whatever generating capacity we are producing, it will be aligned for the consumption's requirement properly. Otherwise, we are building a very large infrastructure and making energy cost is very expensive because very few hours we are using the double energy and very rest of the time we are using half. It's a required policy to change the consumer behavior and digitalize technology to utilize for the energy consumptions and for the energy efficiency. Need a captive power policy. Sir, last 5 years, because of the new bidding regimes, so many industries have already mentioned that we are using renewable, but last 5 years, this opportunity is not growing because of the new bidding process has not allowing or promoting much more in the state levels. We are bring the captive power policy for manufacturing and MSME companies so that we can hedge their power cost and become a carbon neutral. As a company, Suzlon, we are extremely conscious on our own carbon footprint, being a leader in the renewable energy sector, which is inherently aligned to the sustainability. We take this very seriously. Sir, we have built a total 25,000 megawatt renewable energy assets in a 32 country. Out of that, 14,000 megawatt in India and 11,000 is outside the country. This capacity is reducing almost 28 million tons of the coal every year, which is quite mitigating the climate risk very well. And our plan is also clear. In the next decade, we will add another 20,000 megawatts of the renewable assets. India, majority, all our windy sites, we have planted more than 2 million trees also. Sir, one of the areas
conclude already 9 minutes taken.
Sure. Sir, last
please.
only, it's already, sir, last point is request. So many earlier sites we have kept and reserved for the mining requirement. Lots of majority sites are in mining areas. We can use mining also and we can use windy sites for the wind project, but somehow it is not available. So we are fully committed to build our nation in a sustainable way. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. And really, we appreciate your initiatives and supporting the industries. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. And I would request all the speakers to kindly restrict to 3 minutes.
Last 3 speakers, you have guillotine 3 minutes each, strictly. Thank you.
Now I would request Mr. Guntar Butschek, Chief Executive Officer and MD Tata Motors Limited, who is joining us from Germany.
The Honorable Minister or officials of the Ministry and dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, Namaste. Years of global warming have made climate change a defining issue of our time. Its widespread impact is global in scope and significant in scale. Being a large economy with young demography and tremendous growth potential, India is uniquely placed on the world stage to demonstrate that combating climate change is compatible with economic growth and raising standards of living. The Indian government is adopting an array of righteous actions to build a low-carbon future, which is highly appreciated. We feel encouraged by the words of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. In his recent address to the India Energy Forum, he affirmed that India is well on track to meet its target of adding 175 gigawatts of renewable energy to its electricity grid by 2022. And the country would continue to fight climate change as we are committed to support the same. At Tata Motors, we understand that business, government and philanthropy must collaborate closely within and among themselves to effectively address the menace of climate change. Being a signatory of the RE100 and committed to using 100% renewable power, we have taken several strides towards this goal by progressively increasing the proportion of renewable energy used in our operations. For example, during the fiscal year 20, over 21% of the total energy that we used was renewable, an increase from 16% in the fiscal year 19. We also generated and sourced 88 million kilowatt hours of renewable energy, saving approximately 73,000 metric tons of an CO2 equivalent. We intend to source renewable power with more rigor and as best possible to fulfill our aspiration of sourcing 100% renewable electricity for operations by 2030. As a leading manufacturer of electric vehicles in India, we are actively working to make them more popular, accessible, affordable across the country, supporting the government's emphasis on encouraging green and sustainable mobility. As an enabling ecosystem, it is critical to accelerate the adoption of EVs. We are complementing the government's efforts with our unique initiative of the Tata Universe, wherein several Tata Group companies are leveraging respective individual strengths and expertise to co-create an e-mobility ecosystem as the need of the hour. The signing of this declaration is testament of Tata Motors' assurance, promise, and resolve to collaborate. We are pleased to join hands with other like-minded partners to formulate a collective, strong, and effective response to help combat climate change and to drive sustainable development to benefit the present and, most important, to future generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is professional.
Next, I would request Mr. R. Mukundan, CEO of Tata Chemicals Limited, to kindly address us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister Prakash Javadekar ji, Shri R.P. Gupta ji, senior officials of Ministry, industry captains. Being part of the Tata Group, we are fully committed to climate change responsibility while contributing to national growth. We will fully contribute to NDC targets as a company in line with country's targets and in line with our Tata Group commitments to be a responsible corporate citizen. We are also active participants in integrated reporting, CDP, GRI, TCFD, UN Global Compact, wherein we play active role in designing strategies for implementation. I want to highlight just 3 areas of impact where we are working. Firstly, let me start with agriculture. We are working towards sustainable agriculture through our subsidiary Rallis India by focusing on higher productivity and water conservation through series of programs, including one what is called a Jaldan program. We are working, for example, in villages where it's sustainable practice like SRI, and in villages, especially where there's a large population of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, to make them water sufficient, nutrition sufficient, and energy independent. In the area of industry sector, we are committed to SBTi, science-based targets to ensure that we are contributing to well below 2 degrees centigrade. We are making every effort to ensure our operations in all our plants are amongst the greenest. We had initially set up many years ago 25 megawatt solar power plant in partnership with Tata Power, who now fully own that plant in our main operation in Gujarat and Mithapur. We are increasing the share of solar and also are actively considering to convert all our boilers to gas or with the renewable feedstock and shift to solar concentrated for steam generation. Our new plant in Nellore has installed floating solar on rainwater harvesting ponds, and this is a unique combination of not only conserving water, but also generating power. And I think this sort of schemes are something which we should all embark upon. We are also setting up first carbon capture operation for building a bicarbonate unit in UK, and the same technology we have in UK, we are planning to bring that to India. Third area where we are impacting is on the energy transition. We are investing in electric battery storage technology. We are already taken the step of designing the unit as a circular economy. We are working in partnership with various CSIR labs and are today recycling lithium battery and are recovering the ingredients. We are working as one team in Tata between Tata Power, Tata Motors to ensure energy transition solutions are available both for power and mobility sectors. To end, I just want to commit once more and thank you, Minister, for this occasion. And we will we'll work hand in hand with Government of India to meet our climate commitments. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I request Mr. C.P. Gurnani, Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director, Tech Mahindra Limited, to make his statement.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for inviting us to this forum. Honorable Secretary, Mr. Gupta, and other officers, my colleague Prakash Shukla has already covered a part by sharing that we as a group at Mahindra are committed to carbon neutral goals, committed to renewable energy goals, and we have also, for all the companies, have got the science-based targets approved. Coming specifically to Tech Mahindra, all 125,000 associates of Tech Mahindra very firmly believe in that Sanskrit shloka which says, Aham Brahma Asmi, which means I'm part of the universe. It's our duty that our environment and the climate around us, which has sustained us, that we are shielded by our climate and environment in so many ways that it is our duty to try and protect the climate. We have clearly been a leader from our IT business perspective. We run a Green Marshal program within the company that each of my locations has minimum 25 Green Marshals. Similarly, we have developed technology solutions which are IoT based, which are AI based, which take into account either providing microgrid as a service. We have collaborated with some of the cities to provide smart cities, and we continue to evolve our technology-based programs. We are in leadership positions and disclosures like Dow Jones Sustainability Index, Carbon Disclosure Projects, EcoVadis. So all I can want to reaffirm is we appreciate the initiative taken by Honorable Minister. We as a group continue to be the biggest supporters of climate control, and we will do our best to leave this country, this society, a better place than what we inherited. And we are with you, Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Rahul Sharma, CEO, Vedanta Resource Limited.
Yeah, namaskar and good afternoon, sir. Honorable Minister Prakash Javadekar ji, RP Gupta ji, and other government officials, and also my friend industry colleagues. Sir, under leadership, India is cause of climate change, and over the years, private sector has played a very crucial role to address this global challenge. Vedanta is the largest natural resource company in India, and we as a responsible corporate remain fully supportive of the outcome of Paris Agreement and also committed to minimize our carbon footprint. We as a work on a philosophy of zero harm, zero waste, and zero discharge. And it gives me immense pleasure to declare that we are committed to substantially decarbonize our operation over the next decade in line with the sentiment expressed by our Honorable Minister and the government. Our in-house carbon farm and innovation cell comprise of global experts which are actively working on solutions while using technology, digitization, and innovation that can help the company reduce the carbon footprint. Sir, as on March 2020, we have successfully reduced by almost 14% from 2012 baseline level. This is equivalent to take out more than 9 million tons of CO2 from the atmosphere. We generated 582 million units of renewable energy last year. We have achieved 6 million gigajoules of energy saving in last 3 years. 70 projects have been implemented across various locations for conservation of energy. Sir, Vedanta Hindustan Zinc unit has also declared water positive, a significant achievement in our fight against climate change. Vedanta Hindustan Zinc is ranked 5th globally and first in Asia Pacific region in metal and mining sector by Dow Jones on Sustainability Index. As Vedanta, we are, as an organization, we are committed to this agenda, which shall benefit the present as well as the future generation. And I would once again like to thank Honorable Minister and the government to give this opportunity. And on behalf of Vedanta, we are fully committed for this cause and stand by that. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, now we have the last speaker, B. Anand, whom we had missed earlier, CEO Nayara Energy Limited.
Thank you very much and good afternoon to all of you. And my sincere thanks to Honorable Union Minister Javadekar ji and the Environment Ministry for extending me this coveted opportunity to represent Nayara Energy amongst the torchbearers of sustainability from the private sector. Indeed, it's been amazing to hear the initiatives taken across by many of our industry champions towards the climate change. And Nayara, as you know, is a key player across the fossil value chain. And of course, as the second largest, single location refinery with 20 million tons in Jamnagar, with the substantial, downstream ambitions, we are cognizant of the additional responsibility that we have to shoulder to reduce the emissions intensity of India's GDP. I would like to invoke a very successful example of collective action taken by the energy industry and the government, which is the Ujjwala Yojana that replaced chulhas with cleaner LPG in over 80 million households, thereby reducing the particulate air pollution, protecting the health of countless families, and delivering environmental justice. Further, the energy industry has known for its commitments towards lowering the GHG emissions by investing significantly to upgrade refineries for leapfrogging to BS6 fuel and bringing India at par with the European emission standards. Similar investments have been made across our value chain. Some Mr. Mishra had alluded to, but more specifically now we are installing the vapor recovery systems in our retail terminals and our fuel stations in context of compliance for which the IMO brought along. So ensuring that we are producing very low sulfur fuel oil for ships to reduce the marine emissions by over 80%, or procurement and blending of ethanol and petrol and its pushes a cleaner biofuel. These are some of the substantial directional investments which most of the refineries are putting together. Now, going forward, we shall continue to focus on reducing as well as offsetting our carbon footprint through a multi-pronged strategy that includes, of course, many were covered in the previous session, in the previous discussion. I would focus more on digitization of refinery operations and supply chain to optimize energy and water use, reducing fuel and loss, which is that we see there's a big responsibility from our end, how the molecule that we have, how we responsibly manage that. And pivoting towards renewable power sources, exploring synergies for integration with green fuels, promoting forest cover, like Reliance. Nayara also takes great pride in a green cover that we have in a refinery, and as one of the byproducts, we jokingly do mention that mangoes has been a thing that we harvest a lot. And which helps us, also to kind of provide the natural carbon sink and so forth. So many initiatives for us. In many ways, this is a journey where we will constantly invent. It's an industry which has been there for over a century, and we completely understand our responsibility towards the climate change. and many initiatives collectively as an industry and in collaboration with many of our peers who work towards them. We reaffirm our commitment, Honorable Minister, towards the path that India is taking, which is to deliver an ambitious NDC and ensuring that we are seen as the leaders in the climate change and show that resilience amongst the emerging markets. Thank you again for bringing me this opportunity.
Thank you. That closes the speakers list. Now I would request the Honourable Minister to release the declaration of the Indian private sector on climate change.
This declaration by private sector companies on their own is a historical initiative, because one says many things and preaches many things, but to bring into practice is a most difficult thing. And India is showcasing again, not only on the government level, but even at the private level, we are taking real initiatives, and that shows our commitment. That shows our resolve. I think today, United Nations ecosystem and UNFCCC ecosystem will definitely take note of this wonderful initiative of India and India's corporate world to adhere to and even declare plans of their own decarbonization or carbon neutrality. So this is how India wants to move ahead. This is how we want to make progress at all levels. In each sector, we will complete the commitments and will also impress. So my only suggestion to the corporate sector is propagate what you are doing. That is very important. Jungle mein more nacha kisne dekha? So propagate. Second is report to us. So we will also do the same thing for you. Suggest activities which needs to be checked, because there are various fields where, like pyrolysis or something, some activities in our countries are on which really pollute. So bring to our notice the polluting activities and we'll take action. And we have to be on same page as far as our insistence of finance and technology support from the advanced economies, so that India can also catch up and may go ahead. This is what I want to say at the end. Our secretary will also have the word now.
Thank you, sir. And our friends at corporate world, my colleagues in the ministry. Really, the commitment which you have shown, the corporate world has shown, the action which they have taken to mitigate the climate change effect, their plans, which are not only in sync with our commitment at NDC, but far beyond them. Quite a few of you have also declared the goal of carbon neutrality. Apart from the carbon action which you are taking, the indirect impact which other factors have on the climate change, particularly the water front, the hazardous substance front, as well as on the pollution. All these have an indirect impact. The carbon has direct impact. On these also you are taking very good actions and you have showcased it. it is your actions which ultimately they add up to the country's action. And our India's action on climate change, they have been recognized worldwide, and now we want that you should be our ambassador on the international forums. The actions which, as a country, which we are taking, your corporate, they are taking, and how we are the only among the few countries which are on path of achieving not only the NDCs, but also the 2-degree commitment which the world has made to itself. Large promises, very long-term promises, they have no meaning unless they are complied with, unless they are shown through the commitment and implementation on the shorter term, which unfortunately is missing on the international front. As you already know, that our Prime Minister has set up the goals and also the commitment for sustainable and high growth in the country. We are one of the developing countries. Our energy consumption happens to be 1/3 of the world average and about 1/10 of the developed world. The sustainable development as well as the climate compliant development with using clean energy has its own cost. The countries who have used the carbon space which was available are in a much better position to comply with the carbon neutrality. For us, it's a difficult task, but nevertheless, we are committed for it and we will achieve it. At the same time, it must be recognized that the climate change goal limiting the global temperature rise to 2 degree or 1.5 degree, that has to be based on the principles of equity, common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities. These are the principles which we have been arguing for and we have been requesting for in the global fight against climate change. There are mechanisms for it, the carbon pricing, carbon markets. These are being practiced and would be practiced with greater vigor at the international market, and we must also achieve them in our domestic arenas. These carbon trading mechanisms, and when we extend them to the emission tradings, these are one of the cleanest way of achieving the goals very economically. These also bring in innovation, the new technologies, and also the behavioral change. These are much more cleaner than putting the fines and penalties and fees or taxes. So I would request our friends in the corporate world that we increasingly adopt these. Government would also be coming up with the proper platform and the mechanism where these can be implemented effectively. Your suggestions for the policy initiative and policy changes which stimulate cleaner technologies, cleaner but cheaper technologies, and the innovations are most welcome, and I would request you that you send the suggestions which on the policy front which would invigorate these changes. With these, I thank all of you for participating in today's discussion and taking the pledge. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now I would request Ms. Richa Sharma, Joint Secretary of the Ministry, to propose a vote of thanks.
I thank Honourable Minister for his address conveying the major strides made by India in combating climate change and his call for a strong partnership with industry in this endeavour as we move to the implementation phase of the Paris Agreement from 2021. I thank Secretary Shri Gupta and Additional Secretary Shri Prasad for their addresses at today's forum and for guiding its planning and organisation. But above all, I thank the industry leaders for their participation in the second India CEO Forum, and for their impactful statements regarding their various sustainability initiatives and pledges for responsible climate action. Thank you very much for endorsing the declaration of the private sector on climate change. And lastly, I also thank the internal team in this ministry for all the hard work